Today we're going to be talking about methods for decoding the ERA Fortress lever pack. So when we walk up to a lock, what can we do to help us identify the levers that are inside the lock prior to picking, that is, so then we can adjust our picking methods to accommodate whatever height of lever may or may not be in the lock. So this is going to look very Blue Peter, Heath Robinson-ish. But what I've done is I've got a bit of cardboard that just sleeves over the top. And I've put an index line, which is going to be running in line with the center of the keyway. And I'm going to stick that there. And then I'm going to take my pick. This is the Ultra pick from 8-Ball Engineering, and this sleeves itself within the curtain. So here I've got a curtain, and when this is put in, you can see that it actually binds itself into that curtain and virtually becomes one with it. There's no slop in there at all. And the more slop that you can get out of the equation, the more accurate this is going to be for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop the pick handle in. If I turn it all the way around to there, let's just move the camera so you can see. So if I turn it all the way around the curtain, then obviously it comes to a stop, and on the actual curtain itself, on the back of the curtain, you can see this ledge. And what's happening is that's rotating around and getting to the point where it hits the back of the bolt and stops, so it won't rotate any further. So that is an absolute dead stop. When I'm reading the levers on these locks, this is typically too far, and what I'm doing is putting my pick so that it hangs vertically downwards, and that gives me a much better reading of what's going on inside the lock. So if we position that there, you can see that the handle is now pointing top to bottom. And what I've done, I've got a pick wire and I've sellotaped a pointer or a pick to it. This is really Heath Robinson, but it does the job, as you will see. This is something that you could create yourself out of a piece of wire. You could bend your own piece of wire and have a permanent pointer. This is just for illustration purposes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that pick in to the lock. There we go. Now, inside the lock, I've put in a lever pack that runs from 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. So it's a consecutive set of levers in there. So if we go to the back of the levers, make sure this is vertical. And then if I turn the pick until the wire is touching the first lever, lever number 5 in this instance, you'll see that the pick, if I hold everything exactly in place and put a mark on this where that pointer is touching, if I now pull this out and go all the way to the front of the lock, which is position number 1, lever number 1 should I say, and now you can see that it's pointing somewhere completely different. So let's just put a mark on there. And the more accurate you can do this, the better. So now I'm going to go to lever 2, move it onto the second lever, put a mark, next lever, I'm going to put a mark. I think I might have skipped a lever there. Going 1, there we go. So what you can see is there's virtually an equidistant mark there. I've just realised none of that was in focus. Apologies. Hopefully you got the gist of what I was doing. So you can see that I've got a series of 5 marks there. And if I get a ruler, let's just take this out. If I get a ruler from the centre of the keyway to these marks, what I'm going to end up with is a series of lines that radiate outwards there we go, a series of lines. And if we carry on doing that, if I was to change the lever pack now and change the levers to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I would actually end up with a couple of extra lines above. And here's one I did earlier. And as you can see, what I've ended up with is a virtually perfect scale with the lever numbers on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now the caveats, several caveats here. Firstly, the type of pick handle that you're using. If you've got something with a lot of slop in it, you need to make sure that that's always going to be in the same place when you do this. Otherwise, you're going to get very random readings. Secondly, the wire that you use has to be the same wire every time, has to be held in the same position, and so it has to be really accurate for you to be able to replicate this over and over again. So even if this is just out by a little bit on the handle there, you may find that you're going to end up with a different reading because the curtain's in a different place, the wire's going to be a different place. So the more accurate that you can hold everything together, the better it is for you to be able to create a chart like this, which is effectively now your own personal decoding chart for the ERA based on your equipment for the ERA Fortress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this onto another lock, and then we'll read the readings that I've created and see whether we can make this work in practice.